Certain genes control specific traits in people, from their personalities to their health. And scientists hope to one day be able to use beneficial genes to lessen or eliminate some negative genetic traits.
What are some negative things that can be passed down genetically?
Turner syndrome, diabetes.
Color blindness, hemophilia, or sickle cell anemia.
I'm lactose intolerant.
My father has like a balance problem, so occasionally I'll just like lose my balance a little.
I guess big nose, big ears.
From my father's side of the family, which is English, I got horrible teeth.
Balding, which I think I'm taking care of that. I'm not sure.
I have two different colored eyes, so like I got one eye from my mother's and one of my dad's, so.
Neil First has been dealing with genetic controversies since he cloned a cow from an embryonic cell in 1986.
Ethical lines get drawn for every person a little differently. Collectively, we don't want to pass laws or allow situations where people have free license to do something willy-nilly or without a compassionate approach. But if an individual needs something, we're a very compassionate society, and we very quickly jump to that and say, we would like to help them.
At his lab at the University of Wisconsin, he is pushing the boundaries of cloning even further. Using the borrowed bits from an array of different animals, his team has reprogrammed cow eggs to create embryos of other animals. It's called cross-species cloning.
So if that donor cell is from a pig or a primate, what's going to come out of that is a pig or a primate. It's not going to be half pig, half cow, as some people I think have thought about that. You know, it'll be a complete pig or a complete primate.
First, uses the eggs of one species as a universal recipient for the DNA of another species. If this cloning technique is perfected, some endangered animals could be saved.
Good boy.
There are about 1,000 giant pandas left in the world. Efforts to breed them in captivity have met with limited success.
Good boy.
Giant pandas aren't that easy to breed, even in the wild. They are only in heat for maybe 3 or 4 days out of the year. They're solitary, so if they don't come together and breed within those 3 days, that's a year without a giant panda.
What if cloning could bring them back from the brink of extinction? Gathering DNA samples from endangered animals could ensure their survival as a species.
I do believe that we should absolutely and unquestionably be taking cell samples from any species that might be in danger of going extinct, because it is so easy to take cell culture, and we now know that that is capable of giving rise to a complete new individual.
It's already happening. Scientists in China have gathered DNA from a panda with plans to create the world's first panda clone. But something even more mind-boggling could be on the horizon. Some scientists believe it may be possible to clone using ancient DNA. No one's creating a real Jurassic Park yet, but they may be getting closer. But what about one of the biggest questions? Can we clone ourselves? It's a hot topic and a hot potato, but has it already been done?
I think if a technology gets developed and is available, it will be used. So it won't surprise me at all if somebody clones a human being.
But there are clones that walk among us, twins. Identical twins have identical DNA, but to make an exact copy of a human is not just a matter of genetics. We are far too complex for that. However, scientists like Dr. Bouchard have discovered striking similarities in personality and IQ between twins who have grown up apart. And this leads them to believe such character traits are in the genes we inherit. But what about the rest of us? What makes some of us want to jump, while others prefer to remain safely on the ground? Some scientists believe such character traits are in the genes we inherit.
Yeah, I guess I am a risk taker. I mean, if someone dares me to do something, I gotta do it. You know, I can't say, no, I'm not gonna do that. My younger brother is definitely a dare taker. I mean, I think he's worse than I am. And I guess we both get it from my mom. Through her life, she did a lot of things. Raced race cars for many years, won many trophies, did horseback riding. She does things on her own.
Some geneticists believe that genes may predispose us to act certain ways, even when it comes to something like taking risks. Dr. Dean Hamer is trying to find the link between genes and how they affect behavior.
All that genes do is to code for proteins, and all the proteins do is to control chemical reactions inside the brain. So there is no gene that says go bungee jumping or jump off the high dive or smoke a cigarette. The genes simply alter our brain chemistry in rather subtle ways.
To research what Hamer calls the novelty-seeking gene, he compares the behavior of siblings and their DNA.
We're the O'Neill family, and I'm Tommy. This is Johnny. That's Paul, and that's Joey.
Suppose that we had two brothers who were at a swimming pool. Well, if one of the brothers decided to go off the high dive and jump into the water, maybe do a flip on the way down, he would probably have the novelty-seeking gene. That makes his brain respond to dopamine, which is released when you do a novel experience, in a positive way, and he would feel pleasure from that. If the other brother decided not to go off the high dive and to go down the ladder instead, he probably wouldn't have the novelty-seeking gene, but he might have the anxiety gene. That gene controls serotonin. And when he did that experience, he would get a flash of serotonin that would make his brain feel very bad, would feel anxious and worried. And so he would be less likely to dive off the high dive. So just by looking at those two genes, we could tell something about whether or not people get excitement from a new activity like high diving, or whether that same activity makes them feel anxious. And it's all because their genes are a little bit different. That makes their brain chemistry just a little bit different as well.
In addition to the novelty-seeking gene, scientists have identified genes that cause behaviors like addiction and anxiety. But the temptation to tamper with undesirable genes could lead to trouble.